Hey listeners, welcome to Grit and Growth, where we explore what it really takes to achieve excellence in sport, leadership, and everyday life.
We're talking mindset, character, and faith in action. The daily pursuit of becoming your best in every arena.
I'm Justin Simpkins, founder and director of Prairie Hockey Academy, storyteller, passionate about growth, and reader of books on leadership and personal development.
And I'm Shane Sowden, head coach of Briarcrest men's basketball, a mentor to coaches and youth who believes leadership starts with the heart and grows through purpose.
Hey, we've been friends for over 15 years, and this podcast builds on conversations that we've shared with each other and with mentors, coaches, and leaders who have helped shape us along the way.
So get ready to rise to a higher level of excellence.
You're listening to Grit and Growth. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Grit and Growth podcast. On today's episode, we had the privilege of talking with Saskatchewan running back and Grey Cup champion, AJ Ouellette. Two takeaways for me was just the authenticity of AJ, talking about his mindset of dealing with failure, overcoming obstacles, and how to build into the next generation. Enjoy the episode.
AJ, welcome to the Grit and Growth Show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
We're thrilled to have you. We've already done our formalities and told you about how cold it is currently in Saskatchewan. You're back home in Ohio for the off season. Tell us exactly whereabouts in Ohio are you?
About 30 minutes north of Dayton, Pickle, Ohio, which is just 15 minutes east of where I grew up.
Okay. Well, and I think, you know, for any of our guests that don't know, I mean, we want to say congratulations first off on a fantastic season here in Saskatchewan with the hometown Roughriders and obviously the Grey Cup championship that we're all pretty excited about. I imagine any listener that's listening, there was probably numerous Grey Cup champion paraphernalia under the Christmas tree. And that just happens here in Saskatchewan, right? It's like, hey, the Riders win a Grey Cup, and, you know, it used to be, you know, socks and a jar of pickles from grandma, but now it's a Roughriders Grey Cup champ t-shirt. So that's what we do here in Saskatchewan. But congrats on that season. What was your biggest takeaway from the year that you had?
Man, just the resilience I had, the patience to overcome the first year I had in Saskatchewan, right, was a terrible year. Training as hard as I could to, you know, make an impact. Apparently trained too much and had an injury that kind of developed into more as the season went and kind of took away my season, my first year. So the ability to adapt, pinpoint what the issue was, still continuing to learn about quad, glute, and all that, how it all works together to make sure it never happens again. So I just say the resilience and the belief and the skill that I had to perform, even though I didn't show it the previous year.
So AJ, so you just shared why this year was so much more special because of the challenges you went through the previous season. And you won a Grey Cup back in 2022 with Toronto, which was, you know, was this one more gratifying because of what you had to go through to get there? Or did you have to go through something similar with the Argos? You know, how would you compare, if you could compare, how would you compare the two?
Yeah. Man, it's hard. They both had their ups on why I like that one more. In 2022, I was cut in like week 4 or week 5 of the season from the Argos.
Wow.
They had Andrew. Luckily, the other American running back got hurt at practice. They brought me back next day. I signed for a little bit of a bonus. So it went on. Andrew unfortunately got hurt. But that's football. That's how it goes. And I got to step in. So that one was, you know, one to remember just for that. And then this one, just to have a full year of playing as well as I did, with football, battling injuries, rolling your ankle, shoulder issues, like throughout the year, just piecing yourself together and making yourself feel the best at the end was just, it's hard to do in the CFL season. It's so long and grueling. So I think that was one of the high peaks of it. And I mean, this locker room is one that you can't beat. Coaching staff you can't beat. So just the feeling of the whole year was one that you got to remember.
Well, you hit on something really interesting there. I don't think a lot of us fans understand the emotional roller coaster what that can take place in a season. We're sitting at the Western Conference Final and we're hearing everybody's opinion around us, yelling, all this kind of stuff, especially in Saskatchewan, because they're passionate, right? They have an opinion, but they don't see stuff like what you just said, where you get cut 4 or 5 weeks in, you have a 24-hour period, you're not on the team, and then something happens, and then you're back on the roster. So what's the mindset day to day that you have to go through as a professional athlete in order just to keep going sometimes?
Yeah. Show up every day with the best, attitude that you can. Find something that you enjoy, which the game of football, you should enjoy, right? So find the pleasure of just getting up that day and getting to compete, because you don't know when it's going to go over. I've realized that in 2022 when I got cut, I was booking a flight home and got called back. So I don't take any day for granted. And I know all these young kids are coming up, straight out of college, trying to take my job. So that is the motivating factor on get up with a good attitude and crush it. And then my ability to, help the next person, because someone's going to take my job one of these days. I don't know when it's going to be. Hopefully it's in 5 years. But like this year, Mario Anderson, like his development from training camp to first couple weeks of season, getting cut, getting brought back, and I was like, dude, this is familiar. I better not get hurt. And just seeing him grow, and like the way he'd come in and ask me a question, and I got to be like, yeah, I've experienced this. This is how to go about it, and just his growth as a professional just in the first year was awesome.
I think that's really neat. It speaks to some of the leadership inside of the dressing room. You just mentioned, the coaching staff was special in Saskatchewan, but the dressing room itself, and our listeners, even if they're watching on YouTube or anything, can't quite see the Trevor Harris jersey hanging up behind you. I thought that was pretty unique to see that. There it is. Yeah,
nice,
really cool. And obviously, Trevor's a special leader. Probably helped lead in that room. But talk to us a little bit about what does that look like when you experience a dressing room that's special as compared to another one? What are some of those traits or characteristics that might be there on the championship team?
Yeah. So before the playoffs this year, Coach had, we have a team meeting every morning, and he stands up there and he goes, raise your hand if you've ever won like a state title in high school or whatever. People raise their hand. If you ever won a bowl game in college, if you've ever won a Grey Cup, and the amount of hands that went up, and you're just looking at the veteran, experience that we had on the team. And it was about every position on the team had a veteran that's been successful, been in the league long enough, and knows how to act. So when you have that, you can kind of manage the young talents that come in, and get them, in line as this is what the coach expects. This is how you're going to make everybody's life easier. This is how you're going to contribute to a win. And this is how you're going to have better success in your career. So just seeing that, I think speaks volumes. And like as a coach, hopefully one day, don't know if I'll get into football or when, but having veteran leadership like that is going to be the key focus.
Well,
how does that yeah, Shane, I'm going to step all over you here for half a second, because I'm just really interested and curious, how does that veteran leadership show up in a selfless way? Because I think sometimes when we're young and we're coming in, there's this selfishness about us that we have to mature through, and I think at times it requires a vet to hit us up the side of the head a little bit to say, hey, you're being pretty selfish here right now, and this is what it looks like. So can you explain that maybe to some young listeners that might be listening?
Yeah, I can speak on my experience too. Coming up into the CFL, I was never really a selfish person, like college, all that. But I played first couple weeks of that 2019 season when I got brought up when I got cut from the NFL, and I played really well. And then 2020 got canceled. 2021 came through, and every opportunity I got to play, I played well. 100-yard games, all that. And I'm like, this is my time. I should be the one starting. And I started growing that ego. And I don't say I wasn't a good teammate, but I could have been better. And 2022 rolled around, and I'm like, okay, this is my year. They got rid of the other two running backs that were established, all that. And then boom, Andrew Harris signs and pissed me off a little bit. And I show up to training camp and I was angry, expecting to hate the dude, mainly because he was from Winnipeg. No other reason. But the more I watched him, the more I saw the work that he put in, the knowledge he had of the game, the more I respected him, the more we grew. And I just watched his leadership of mentoring me. And I don't know if I would have had that opportunity, if he never came to show me, hey, this is how you act with the younger person. He's older in his career. He knew he had a couple years left. And the way he had to deal with an injury, me stepping in as a starter and him never, taking the foot off the gas when teaching me. And I was like, dang, man, I gotta bottle this up and use it one day when my time comes to send someone in there for me. It happens for every athlete. Like I said, I hope it's in many years, but I hope I'm able to transfer the way he did out of the spotlight. And I think we had that as veterans. They've seen people come and go. They know what it takes. They know their time's coming up, and they're just trying to help the next generation.
Well, and I want to hit on that because, like, what's challenging about that scenario? Because you talked about Mario this season, very similar situation to you 4 years ago in Toronto, and I'm looking at your Instagram this morning, and you and Hare's with a picture with the Grey Cup, arms around each other, celebrating, all that kind of stuff. And it's just like, what's that culture and chemistry in the team room? Because you guys you're battling for jobs, you're battling for livelihood. So to go past that, and you still want to compete and get the job, but at the same time, I'm still going to build into you as a teammate because there's something bigger than our paycheck. And how did Corey foster that? Like, how did that, because it seems like you had that both in Toronto and Saskatchewan in those two winning seasons.
Yeah. So the big thing is all successful athletes know that they have to perform at a high level, right? Bringing in competition makes you have to perform at that. If they don't ever bring in a running back, I can go through practice easy, chill, take breaks when I need to. But when there's someone on your heels, you're always constantly working. And then to get on to bring it back to the point where I said you have to, get up with a good attitude to enjoy what you're doing. If you're battling in a constant state of hate, you're not enjoying what you're doing. So you might as well like the person that you're competing against. And I think that's what brought it in, and the type of people that Corey Mace looks for. People that are going to compete, they're not going to complain when their jobs are taken, and that love what they do, that can get along. If you can get along with the person that you're competing with, you're both going to just level up season after season until the old guy's out of there.
I appreciate the explanation of it, and just this idea of, even when you arrived in Toronto and your ego was a little out of joint, learning how to compete, without hating the other guy or being angry. It's, you got to wake up every day. There's something there. It's not simple, is it? Like you just, when it comes to mindset and making a choice to be a good teammate and making a choice to not be selfish in that locker room, there's a little bit of surrendering that comes to play. And it's like some of the guests we've had on this podcast, there's been, Jason Caldwell is one that comes to mind, where he just talked about, I had to let go of this macho-ness, this idea, so that I could be a really good teammate and we could achieve success together and not be afraid of failure or making a mistake. But is that something that you have to, like, as a young athlete, do you have to go through some hardships to learn that? Or is there some mentorship? Like, how do you open yourself up to being like, like, how could you have done this at the age of 20 instead of, 26?
I think it just, I don't want to say you have to go through it at like 26 or 20 or whatever. Whenever it pops up in your life, you have to adapt or you're going to die. You're going to be sent somewhere else. So your ability to adapt, I think, is what an athlete should have. And most athletes do have it, right?
Yeah.
the ability to connect with these people, because you don't know what's going to happen in life. Like, I've had issues pop up, and if I would have had that ego mindset, I wouldn't have had a best friend to rely on. When relationship status for me, was going through the drain. Andrew's been through it. I knew exactly who to call. So if you let your ego go away, or you let your ego get in the way, you're going to miss out on opportunities that are going to help you out in life.
I just think absolutely. And life is the key piece here, because once your football playing days are over, if you exited them angry, then what baggage are you carrying into being a football coach now, or a husband, or a father, running a gym? Like, I don't know. I enjoy when my trainer, might get, a little spicy on me, but not angry all the time, right? Nobody wants that. But if I can, like, you're in the prime of your career right now. Let's call it that, right, AJ? It's you're not a rookie anymore. You're a veteran. There's been a lot of players that have entered the league and have left the league long before you're still playing. And I just wonder how many of them didn't continue on because of mindset. Like, how many athletes drop off? It's not because of skill, but sometimes it's that mindset or that character that we need to form. And I think that's a big piece as we start talking with young athletes right now. And I think even with you and what you're doing at No Name Athletics, which I want to get into, but it's the talent they get. The talent is not enough to keep you at the league level, especially that pro like game. There's got to be a tiny little difference in skill level to keep guys there.
Yeah, you nailed it. The mindset of a professional is different. There's talent everywhere. You can find it all over the place. I can go on the street and find someone that can pick up a middle linebacker, but to have the mindset to do it is different. And to have the mindset to adapt, and to have the mindset to be a good teammate and all that is what keeps you in the game, right? Coach is only going to deal with so much at a time. Teammates are only going to deal with so much at a time. So, like, if you can knock out coaches, teammates, and skill level, you'll be in the game a while.
Hey everyone, check out our new book, Significance Over Success, packed with real stories, reflections, and lessons on what it truly means to grow with purpose.
Hey, it's Justin here. And if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I'm a coach, a husband, and a father to 3 busy kids. A couple years ago, one of our daughters was really struggling with her sleep and her breathing and crowding in her mouth. At that point in time, we started looking into things that could help her. And I'm proud to say that we came across a company called SaskMile. The team at SaskMile was incredible with our daughter in helping us figure out a solution for her health. The team at SaskMile made a real difference in her life, in her breathing, in the crowding in her mouth, and in her airways overall. My daughter's back to sleeping better, not grinding her teeth at night, and being able to just breathe, which goes a long way in her physical development. If you have a child that you're concerned about, whether they're snoring, mouth breathing, grinding their teeth at night, struggling with feeding, or just overall mouth development, take my advice. Reach out to saskmile.com. Their team there will offer consultations and incredible help for you. That's saskmile.com, saskmyo.com.
When you talk about mindset, like, take us back to your first year at Ohio University as a walk-on. And I'm guessing you had other options, other offers. I don't know, maybe JUCO, maybe Division II, maybe other D1s. I don't know. But you walked on at Miami, had a good career, but you were a walk-on. What was the mindset? What was the decision going in there? And you had a great career, but what made you choose that?
Yeah. I had a couple options, a couple D2 offers. But looking around, I played at a Division VII high school in Ohio, which is the smallest you can get to. I graduated with 48 kids. I was receiver when it was needed to be. I played all running back positions. I played safety, linebacker, corner, all through high school, played both ways. I was the kicker. I tried punter, but was not that good at punter.
Was it 11-man football?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Just
Yeah.
we have 6-man up here. And I'm just wondering.
I know. I
Yeah.
feel like we probably could have done that, but
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have like 14, 15 seniors
Nice.
on my high school football team my senior year. So we had a good squad. But I wanted to play at a bigger level. I wanted to play at Division One. I had walk-on offers at Indiana, Eastern Michigan, Akron, Ohio, and I visited all the places. And Ohio, just the campus, they had my major, and then Frank Solich, legendary running back himself, right?
Yep.
So he was the head coach, and that's where I wanted to go. I went in with the mindset you show up as a football player your freshman year in the summer. So I had the summer to make an impression before training camp started in the fall, and went through all A's in my 2 or 3 classes that you have to take in the summer. Showed up early to all lifts, stayed late, all that. I wanted to get noticed, and I told myself, do this, be patient, and you'll have a scholarship within 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
I did that. I went, as I tell people, unnoticed. Because to be honest, as a freshman, if you really get noticed, it's probably because you're messing up. You skipped out on class, you missed a lift, so someone had to report your name. So I tried to go unnoticed until they have to notice you. And that 3-year goal of getting a scholarship turned into 3.5 months.
Oh, wow.
And halfway through training camp, I got put on scholarship and started as a special teams only guy. As a true freshman in my first game, opening game at OU. And we had 5 fumbles, a torn MCL in the running back room that first game. So I was 5th string.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth quarter, tie ball game. I get thrown in there. 60-yard drive, winning field goal, and 3 weeks later, I was starter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, man, I want you to come talk to my college team. It's that mindset of going unnoticed. I love it because parents, coaches, players are so like they come in as freshmen. Oh, I got to play, coach. I got to play. I'm like, you're not ready, right? And they're so focused on things that are out of their control. It's really refreshing to hear someone in your position, hey, I'm just going to do everything within my control, under the radar, work as hard as I possibly can. And if I do that, just going to trust the process that then somebody's going to take notice and just be ready for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
I'm sure that's something you talk about with the athletes you train, young guys coming up. You've lived it. Is that just one of the most prominent challenges you see still facing young athletes?
Yeah. I think patience is the biggest issue that they have. And then how we talked about going unnoticed. Everyone, for some reason, wants to get noticed. I don't know if it's the travel ball organization that we live in now, or everybody has to play on a travel all-star team. NIL, and if I talk professional, the worst, it's not 100%, but the biggest headache with incoming rookies is people that had a big NIL.
Right.
I know the Canadian Football League doesn't pay a lot, and that's an issue that they face when they come in if they got paid a lot in college. Mm-hmm. And they want all this notice, and I'm like, no, dude, you're restarting again. Like you have to go unnoticed for a couple of years before you get the opportunity to play. Yeah. And for some of them it clicks, for some of them it doesn't. We talked about careers are short, and the ones that it doesn't click, they're gone.
You're absolutely right. And the CFL, I mean, you're entering a pro game now from a college game, and so like you said, you're starting over, and you're playing against, it's a men's league. You're playing against men and not college kids. Not that they're kids, but it's different, right? And
yeah,
and so,
I mean, it goes into the X's and O's of it too. Like even me, like I went into my first CFL season thinking I knew everything about football because I never made a mistake. I was graded out at 90%, 100%, all these college games. And then I realized everything's backwards. Like, you're only taught one person to look at on pass protection, maybe two in college.
Mhm.
And now mid cadence, we're flipping protections, and you got to flip the field, and you got to realize where the safety's going, like everything. So I tell these guys, like, you got to study, you got to learn. I mean, we're restarting. This is a different ball game now.
Yeah. Hey, I think this has been, a piece for me. Some of your story, AJ, is that walk on piece, and always had to earn it, right? And not that it shouldn't be that way for every athlete, but you've lived with a little bit of this underdog mentality. Is that fair to say? It's kind of been something that's fueled you a bit.
Yeah. I try to keep it in my life to this day.
Yeah, and it's so it's just a mindset piece that you got to earn it. You got to study and learn it. Be ready for when your opportunity comes. I think it's a fantastic, kind of purpose or way to live our life. Let's flip it a little bit. You've earned some, some success. You've earned a little bit of, fame in regard to, AJ and who you are. And you have this nickname, Thor, son of Odin, right? And it's, where did this start? You got the shirt on today, and it's awesome. But where did this start? Where did the nickname come from? And how has it changed you?
It started as a joke. What year was that? 23? I showed up to training camp in Toronto with bleach blonde hair, just because training camp is brutal. It's a gruel. Like the grind of it is crazy. And I was like, I need something to motivate the guys, get them going. They can make fun of me every day because my hair just looks a little goofy. And bleached it. And next thing I know, someone posted a Thor video. Mm-hmm. It might have been the first preseason game, scored a touchdown, and all these Thor stuff was coming out. And then I have kids coming up handing me like action figures saying I look like Thor. And I'm like, oh gosh, I can't cut the hair now. So I kept it for the year. Tried to bleach it myself a few times, and then it's like orange, white, yellow, and so it's not blonde anymore. It's a little light because the actual dye is, fading through, but
but now you keep the long hair because of that. It's like, yeah.
I always tell people, because it was getting in the way during my lift today, and I'm like, 5 more years of this, you can retire, you can cut your hair.
Well, I love it, and it's been it's obviously been something even that the Saskatchewan Roughriders and their marketing or PR team has played off of, and as Rider fans alike, we've been able to enjoy some of it too. When you're in the backfield and there's some confidence there, and then watching you leap players, which I feel like in this past season there was a couple opportunities where you leapt some guys, and I was joking around with Shane about this because you come out of the backfield, the linebacker breaks down to tackle you, and you just decide to go right over top of him. You were 25 pounds heavier last season than you were in the 2025 season, I think, if I recall reading that or hearing that. You changed your training. Were you jumping guys at 25 pounds heavier like that, or did you feel a little bit more freedom this year?
It was a little bit more free. I dropped 25 pounds, but then I gained about 10 back just to have a little bit of weight behind me going into contact. I'm still a power back in my head, so we got to be strong, right? But I had a hip injury, right? So it was tough for me to do all these workouts. I couldn't stay, after practice to do extra cardio because my leg was just breaking down. So I gained not good weight. In season, I can maintain a pretty good weight and keep it strong. And there's a couple videos of me trying to hurdle in 24, and I can remember one, and it was Sankey. Helmet hit me right in the hip, and I did like a flip, landed on the sideline, and was like, "Yep, someone else come in. We're out for a while." So it was a little bit easier this year.
Talk to us about this. The change. So the injuries in 2024, the disappointment in the season that you had, that you started our conversation with today, and the recognition that something needed to change in your training in order for you to be impactful in 25. You're at that point in your career, I'm not sure how many years into being a pro, but that's a big change that happens. Walk us through that a bit.
Yeah, when your whole life you've been committed on, working the hardest. And for me, at a younger age, like working the hardest was showing that I could lift more than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So like 700-pound squats, the 800-pound deadlifts, like all that. And in my head, after football, I was going to be a professional powerlifter. Kind of transition to that maybe after I retire, but we're going to get away from the powerlifting stuff. So I transitioned a lot. Instead of those double, leg movements, I changed it to unilateral. So I did a lot of, split squats, step ups, just so I didn't have 500 pounds on the leg. I only had 350 on the bar. So changes the weight, changes the load, a little bit more of a balance control. You can even reach out to Andrew. He's recommended some changes that he did halfway through his career that helped him stay in the game longer. And I took some of those and worked on ankle mobility, foot control. I had a foot surgery in college, so just making sure everything's, moving properly. And researching what my injury was and what caused it. I had a combination of glute and vastus lateralis tendonitis attaching at the hip. And the more I worked, I didn't know I was dominant on those two muscles. So it was just tearing. Nothing else was, working alongside that muscle. So I ended up with, I think the ultrasound showed like 8 tears down my quad on the left side and like 6 on the right side during that 24 season. So just for instance, for all the fans out there wondering why I played like crap,
there you go.
I was pretty much in tears every game.
That's a lot of tears.
Yeah. So trying to figure out how to strengthen that, adding in the isometrics through all phases, not just the beginning of my training phase. Like most programs are, isometrics and all that. I have that the whole off season, even into season, just to keep tendon strong and make sure everything can handle a load. And now I'm working on all the muscles that go along with it. So working on the VMO on the inside of the quad and all that. I'm actually hooked up to a direct current machine that is on my lateral quad and VMO right now, getting one to relax and one to activate. So
multitasking, love it.
Yeah.
Well, what did that do for your confidence going into this season? Like you changed up your training, you pivoted because you knew you had to, but it must not have been easy to just change course and do something different. But what did that do to your confidence going into the season? Because I noticed a different AJ when I'm watching games.
Yeah, I was worried, to be honest. I was like, if I have another bad year, if I go into training camp and week 1 in training camp, I'm hurt, I'm feeling bad, career's probably done. Like no one's going to take a shot on a 30-year-old running back with a blown out hip. And the work was different. Like I didn't push myself to almost passing out every workout. I changed it up. Like it was still hard, but it was just different than what I was used to.
Yeah.
So I was worried going into training camp, but week 1 went through, felt good. Week 2 went through and I was making plays that I didn't make the previous year. And I was like, okay, we're feeling good. I'm running well. I'm feeling good. I'm cutting, jumping. And then the preseason game came and I had a little hurdle in that one and saw the field well. And that's when the confidence started shooting up, and every game it started adding. Yeah. I know I started the season off with 3 crazy games. Well, you erase week 1 when I got a concussion, but after that was just stacking game on game on game. And then Trevor was out, BC game. I was like, all right, I got to take the load on this one, take a little bit of pressure off Jake. And he played a phenomenal game. Coach called a great game on, establishing the run to, make his job a little easier at the quarterback position, and had over 100 yards, 20 something touches in a CFL game's crazy. So yeah, confidence was through the roof there. And then Andrew is a prime example of confidence. Like we've shared some struggles with confidence before, but like showing it is a little different, and it doesn't have to be arrogant, like in your face, I'm confident. It's walking chest out, chin up, at practice all day in games, and knowing that you're better than the person that you're going against because you prepared better than them.
It's a quiet confidence in the work that you put in to get to that point.
Yeah,
appreciate that. AJ, thanks for this conversation today in part one of our interview with you, and looking forward to part two, where we dive a little bit more into No Name Athletics and even New Name and the foundation that you guys are running in Ohio these days. That's it for part one of our conversation.
We've got more coming your way in part two.
And if you haven't already, hit follow so you don't miss it when it drops.
And if you're enjoying Grit and Growth, tell a friend. It really helps us keep these conversations going.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you in part two.